Well, good morning. Welcome to one of our Faith Forums, which is a series that we've been doing on the second Sunday of each month starting in August, where we've been featuring different ministries of the church. I am Janet Dellery. I'm serving as clerk of session this year, and I'm thrilled to be joined by Janice Price, Abby Liu, and Teresa Moore up here. And then we have staff and teachers and families associated with our CDC and preschool who you'll hear from this morning. Would you join me in a moment of prayer? Loving God, you nurture and guide us like a loving parent and as the ultimate teacher. We give gratitude this morning for the opportunity to gather in this place and in this time and learn from those who minister to the youngest in our community. Bless our time together as we continue to grow as a congregation, committed to being all in for all ages and particularly keen on our role as teachers and caregivers of all of your children. In your name we pray. Amen. Well, to start, I'd like to introduce Janice Price, who is our director of both the CDC and the preschool, and ask her just to tell us a little bit about those two schools, kind of their history and some of the nuts and bolts of those programs and ministries here at Covenant. Janice. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I broke the rule. I was the first. It's lack of sleep. I broke the rule. So I don't know about the rest of you, but that 1 hour lack of sleep last night kind of threw me for a loop this morning. And so Mr. Kevin is here. He does a lot of work with both schools. So he's going to do a 1 minute only exercise with us just to get us up, get us rolling, get that sleep out of our head, and get us prepared to move on so that you can learn everything there is to know about these schools. So, Mr. Kevin, it is yours.
I'm pretty loud. I'm very loud. Okay. Well, good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? Good morning. We're going to try that again. Good morning. That's a little better. So what I am going to do now is I'm going to help energize us kind of the way that I would do with some of our kids. So what we do is we get energized by moving our bodies and by paying attention. We activate our listening ears and our seeing eyes. So what I would like for everybody to do is I would like for everybody to stand up right where you are. And just to get everybody moving, everybody, and I literally, this is what I do with some of the kids. So I want everybody to show me your marching feet. Oh, yeah. And just to make sure that our ears are working, everybody freeze. Good. All right. So what I'd like for us right now to do is I want us to reach high to the sky, and we're going to wiggle our fingers, wiggle our fingers, wiggle our fingers. And this is one of my favorite parts. And your kids, if you ever hear them use a funny voice, this is where they get it from. And we're going to reach low and touch our toes. Get low. Now reach up high to the sky and wiggle our fingers. And now we're going to get low and touch our toes. And reach up high to the sky and wiggle our fingers. Very good. And I'm going to try to do this with a microphone, but can everybody give me just some claps? And freeze. Now everybody give me some marching feet again, marching feet again, marching feet again. Very good. And freeze to make sure our entire body is awake. Here's what I want us to do. I want us tap your head. And let's say, wake up head.
Wake up head.
And now let's tap our shoulders. And you can use both hands because you're not holding the microphone. And say, wake up shoulders.
Wake up shoulders.
And now let's pat that belly. And let's say, wake up belly.
Wake up belly.
Let's get a little low. Let's tap those knees. And let's say, wake up knees. And let's get really low and tap those toes. And say, wake up feet.
Wake up feet.
All right, everybody stand up. Let's get one big reach, stretch high to the sky. We're going to reach up and we're going to see if we can touch those lights. So let's alternate. Reach, reach, reach. If we were outside, we'd be pulling the clouds down to us. And freeze. Now just everybody just get one nice little shoulder shrug. Two nice little shoulder shrugs. Three nice little shoulder shrugs. Got a question for you. Do you feel a little more energized?
Yes.
Oh, I don't buy that.
Yes.
Are we gonna have to do this
Yes.
again? Do we feel more energized?
Yes.
All right, there we go. Thank you so much for participating.
Thank you, Kevin.
I think that was the most proper introduction to what happens at Covenant Schools that we could ever have had. And this is Kevin, and I'm going to tell you, every one of your children know him. If it's here at school, if you run into him at Target or Walmart, he's the target. So Kevin, thank you for all that you do for us, and we appreciate that all the time. That gave me a chance to get a little more awake this morning and to introduce myself again. I'm Janice Price, and I am the Director of Schools for Covenant. 4 years ago yesterday, my anniversary here was yesterday, and I thought about that as I was preparing what I wanted to say to you this morning. I left a job that I had been in for 24 years, wanting a different vision, wanting a different way to end my career when that time came. And the opportunity to come to Covenant came to me from a lot of church members that had said, hey, we have this opportunity here. And, you know, do you want to try to put your name in the pot to be part of that? The very best decision I have ever made in my life was to become a part of this community and of this congregation and of this ministry. What brought me to Covenant at this time and stage in my life? You had just invested a lot of money in a capital campaign to expand your interest and your dedication to this community and to this church by putting a capital campaign out there, showing this community that your total commitment was furthering your ministry in children and family ministries. And you did it, and you did it right. And I wanted so much to be part of that. And I thank you for giving me that opportunity. The first year I was with preschool. Your preschool had been closed for about 18 months due to COVID. And my first challenge was to work with Sarah Askins to be able to get that community and get that word back out that Covenant was coming back into session, and we were going to be open full force in the fall of 2021. And we did it. Almost a year later, Bob Henderson called me at 10 o'clock one night and said, I need you to see you in my office tomorrow morning. I'll see you at 9 o'clock. I had no idea what was going to happen there. What did happen is that there was an opportunity to also be part of your full-time school. And so what happens within the next year, that opportunity expanded so that I was able to be part of both ministries, and I could not be happier to be the head and the lead, to be able to pull both of those programs together in a phenomenal way. For those of you that are here and are part of that, I appreciate that. I know a lot of parents were trying to come in this morning too, and we appreciate the opportunity to share what's happened from there. We have a staff of about 40 that expands from both schools. All of those staff are educated. They have some kind of background or certification in early education, as well as experience in that field. They are also background checked and vetted, and they have up-to-date medical forms and medical information that has to be completed every year. Have a phenomenal staff. We also have an opportunity for them to move back and forth from school to school when we have a need in one school or the other. And I appreciate that and all that that brings to the table too. The families and children are able to all have a part of that experience and know who the kids are and the staff are. Both schools pretty much stay at capacity throughout the year. The Child Development Center's capacity is about 88, which is where we are right now. And the preschool capacity is about 95. Sarah, is that about where we are right now? So any given day, on this campus, you're going to see about a Monday through Friday ministry. You're going to see about 180 children, over 300 parents, and 40 staff that are going to be on this campus off and on from 7 o'clock until 5:30 in the afternoon. I am really fortunate that I have an assistant director in both of those schools that I could not do without. It's a powerful team. Sarah Askins is the assistant director for the preschool, and Loretta Howe is the assistant director for the Child Development Center. We're also fortunate in the Child Development Center that we have a full-time teacher resource person who makes sure all the lesson plans are done, they're carried through, the resources that the staff need in their classrooms are there. Lucy Wadvago is not able to be with us today, but is here with us in spirit. One of the reasons that we had some of our staff and families come and talk with you this morning is that it's not all about me, Sarah, Loretta, Scott. It's about a diversity and a wide group of village of people that come to you every single day and help us pull these ministries off. And so I want to make sure that they have a voice and that they tell you what it is that they do. And Janet, if we can go ahead and go to talking with these ladies, that'll be great.
Yeah, so the next thing, it brings smiles to my faces and hopefully to yours as well to see the slideshow that's kind of showing you visually a little bit about the day in the life of the CDC and the preschool. But we'd like to hear a few more details about what a typical day in the life might be in our CDC and preschool. And I think that's what we're going to hear about next.
Let's start with Miss Loretta. She is the assistant director in the Child Development Center.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I have been with the CDC now for about 4 years. I actually started out as teacher resource specialist, and I've been the assistant director now for about 7 months. And I love the CDC. Actually, I work with Janice at First United Methodist. So I've known her for about 20 years or plus. I actually came here. Well, I didn't follow her, but I knew she was here. And when the opportunity came for me to come here, she was at the preschool at the time, and I was at the CDC. And God moved her over to the CDC, which was a blessing for the CDC as well as myself. A typical day in the CDC, we're open from 7:30 to 5:30. 7:30, the parents coming with the children, we greet the children and the parents. And we always ask, well, most of the teachers ask how their night was, just to give an idea of what happened the night before. Then the children, they do free play in the classroom. And after free play, they have breakfast, and they have outdoor play, or they have an extracurriculum activity with Mr. Kevin, which you all have met, with motor movement. We have art, and we also have music as an extracurriculum, and which is included in the tuition. After the extracurricular activity, the kids either they're outside or they come back in for lunch, which we have lunch at 11:30. And after lunch, the classroom prepare them for nap time. We are a full-time center. I'll let her tell about the preschool, but we are the full-time center, and the preschool is half day. After nap time, the kids have their afternoon snack, which all of our meals are nutritious meals. We have sugar. Well, we are a nut-free center, and all of our meals are prepared for a nutrition meal. After the afternoon snack, most of the kids have free time in the learning center, We do have a monthly curriculum and theme for each classroom. The toddlers and the infants, they have a monthly curriculum, and the older kids have a weekly curriculum, which we are part of the creative curriculum. We try to focus on something the kids are interested in. All of our curriculums are age appropriate curriculum. And back to the schedule. After the afternoon snack, we prepare the kids to go home. They do free play in the learning centers. And after that, we prepare the kids for departure at 5:30. And the teachers tell the parents of children's day, and that's it.
Sarah Askins is the assistant director in preschool. That whole stage is a little different from full day, but we're gonna let Sarah share with us what happens in the medium.
Hi, I'm Sarah Askins. I've been employed with the preschool for about 4 or 5 years, but I've been with the preschool for 12 years because my children all attended. So I feel like I've been here forever. And I have grown kids, and I get to interact with the sweet little preschoolers that I miss, but don't necessarily want home with me at night. So preschool is a little bit different. Our day is from 9 to 12:30. Parents drop off all ages. We go from age 1 up to age 5 or TK. All parents drop off in the classroom. We also do kind of a check-in like the CDC. We have a great circle set up for carpool, but we like to do drop off in the classroom in the morning. It gives you a little FaceTime with the teacher. You can say, hey, she woke up at 4 a.m. If she's a hot, holy mess, just call me. Or dad's traveling this week. She may be she may be sad. So it just gives like a good touch base point. Pickup can be a little chaotic. So we like to have that interaction with the teachers and the parents. We have a little more freedom in our preschool as far as every classroom can kind of make their own schedule. We don't have a set time where we have to do things, but traditionally we'll have free play in the mornings when everybody gets there. You might sit down for a morning meeting or circle time. Obviously, with the 1-year-olds, the circle time may be a minute. With the older kid, you try to herd cats and let them sit in a circle to talk about the weather. It doesn't go well with your 1 and 2-year-olds. But as they get older, they learn, okay, sometimes I have to sit. Sometimes it's my turn to talk. Sometimes I have to raise my hand. So everybody does a circle time. They'll talk the day of the week, the month, the number of the, what date it is, the season, what the weather's like. Everybody does music or art. So 1 week, all the classes go to music. 1 week, music and gym. All the classes go to gym 1 week. Next week, they go to music. Our older classes, our 3s, 4s, and 5s in pre-K, do the art studio every week with Miss Jennifer, who's amazing. She does all the things you would never want to do with your child at home. She does woodworking. She does stained glass. She does photography. She dresses up as Bob Ross for Halloween. She's amazing. Our oldest kids get to go do that. And then we have a big art gallery in the spring, which everyone gets to participate in. In addition, our oldest classes do chapel once a month with Miss Amber. So you'll have circle time. If there's a special, you'll have that during the day. We eat lunch usually in the classroom or on the playgrounds, depending on the weather. And then we always try to get outside. We have great playgrounds here, so we always try to utilize them. In the event of bad weather, we make Mr. Kevin give us half the gym, and we get some wiggles out in there. And then 12:30 is the end of our day. So the oldest kids, 3s, 4s, 5s, pre-K, do carpool in the circle. The 1s and 2s get picked up in their classroom. We do have some after-school opportunities that can extend the day for our older kids, potty training being the biggest requirement for Mr. Kevin. So if you need to extend the day to 1 p.m., 1:15, we do offer art on Mondays, sports on Tuesdays, science on Thursdays, and then soccer shots on Fridays.
Yeah. Sure.
I'm going to add a little bit to what the girls have to say. And I think in my initial notes to you guys earlier, we talked a little bit about how we share a lot of things between schools. And some of the things that we do share staff. as that is needed, which is really good. And I know both of these ladies appreciate when those opportunities happen in their load. We share equipment, we share supplies, we share Mr. Kevin, we share, yeah, that's a good thing, right? We share a lot of different things. We also share our art teacher, Miss Jennifer. We share our music person. We share playgrounds. So there's a lot of things and a lot of schedules that we have to go through to make that happen. And we do that absolutely, excuse me, on a daily basis with both staff. One other thing I want to say, what an opportunity as head of the schools that many, many times we find that there are parents in different places. Some people only need part-time care. There are those of you that are here, you know, with the preschool program, but are also needing full-time care this fall. Or there may be some full-time care families that are needing to go to part-time because there have been changes in their life. And we're able to merge those pretty well and be able to meet those children and their family needs. And that is a thrill that both Loretta and Sarah and I have, that we're able to meet these families where they are. I have the Williams that are here that are a perfect example of being able to meet that crossroads in life. And there are many others that are the same way. So I just wanted to share that little bit with you too. It's a great program, and we coordinate those days very, very well together.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was gonna give you
Yeah,
the
so
mic.
the next thing we wanted to talk a little bit about is that we know that there are opportunities to share early childhood gifts in many places and many locations, but to talk a little bit about what your calling was to engage in preschool and early education, specifically in a church environment and specifically at Covenant Presbyterian Church.
Miss Kiki is our lead toddler teacher, and she's going to come up. You want me to just bring this to you, or you want to stand up? Okay. She's going to share why she decided to come to Covenant.
Good morning, everybody.
Hey.
So I actually started working at daycare in 2003 to 2005 at KinderCare. That's when my son was in daycare, and I was like, I don't want to just send him off, so I want to go be with him. Then I left there in 2005 and went into management and was a general manager over a restaurant called Just Fresh for 17 years. And then I ended up going to Harris Teeter because Just Fresh wasn't a place just yet to say, I want to retire from. They didn't have the benefits and anything. I ended up going to Harris Teeter for 5 years and was the manager over Starbucks. But while I was there, I just didn't feel complete. I felt like something is missing out of my life. I love children. Like that's my passion. And I remember a customer came in, her name was Sarah, and she said, you know, you good at what you do. You can make these coffees and make it good. But she was like, it's something just not right. And I told her, I was like, I just feel like my season is up. And she said, well, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to work with children. I always want to work with children. And she said, well, I know someone who is hiring. And she was friends with Janice. And she said, well, I'm going to put in a word for you. And she was like, and I will get back to you. I say about a couple days later, Janice called and was like, we need to meet. I came in and I told Janice my story and was like, I just feel like God led me here. And it was like a relief. So I put my notice in at Starbucks, but because I was in management, I felt like I was leaving a staff behind. I felt like, okay, this is my baby too, and I'm not ready to leave them behind. So I remember coming in, and on my lunch break, I left and didn't come back. And I called Janice and was like, I can't do it. It's not, I'm not ready yet. I'm just not ready. And she was like, okay. So 2 months went by and I emailed Janice and said, hey, God told me to get my butt back. And she was like, come back and let's talk. And when I came back, I have not left since. It's going on 3 years. I have enjoyed my babies. They have been my babies forever. The bond that we have, I have 6 families that I babysit for. Francis' mom is one of them. Jason. I babysit for a lot of families here, but I also noticed that God is still moving on my behalf because I actually have 3 other families that's been on the waiting list to come here that I have been babysitting for. And it's like, this is my passion. Every day I wake up and I ask God, what am I supposed to do? And he said, stand still, because you're going to see where I'm going to take you, and you are going to love where I'm taking you at. And these kids love you. And every day they show me that, Miss Kiki, we love you. I have kids that's no longer in my classroom still remember me and walk down how, Miss Kiki. And it's like, it just takes my breath away. So that's where it comes from. And y'all don't have to worry. I'm not going nowhere.
Thank you.
I have to tell you guys, she did leave out part of the story where she just like showed up on my doorstep one day. Okay. And that's really where it all began and the story started. And we could not be happier with Miss Kiki. So we have a one-man show. Out of those 40 staff, 39 are female. So Mr. Steve does kind of stand out, and he works with our 4 and 5-year-olds. And he has had quite a journey of his own. And I'm going to let him share that with you.
I can't tell you how joyful it is to work with all those females. My wife said you need to put on your pastor hat, and I put it on my pastor hat. There are 2 things that I believe in. One, and it's apropos at this time of year, the season of Lent, is that the cycle of death and resurrection, it permeates our lives. And so much so that it permeates even our ministries. And so we are called by God to go into these different ministries. And what we oftentimes don't realize is that those ministries also have a lifespan, a death, and a resurrection. And for me, I was a small business owner for 25 years with my wife. We ran a pet sitting business. And also for 7 of those 25 years, I was a local pastor in the United Methodist Church. I was called in the pulpits kicking and screaming. I did not want to go, did not want to be that pastor, but God has plans for us, whether or not we want them or not. And so I found myself the lead pastor of a small Methodist church here in town. Thought that's what I was going to do for the rest of my life. Well, death and resurrection happens. That was not in the cards. I was then called out of the pulpit, which is not enjoyable. It's not enjoyable to think that this ministry that you have dedicated your life to is not for you for the rest of your life. And there was a lot of reflection and soul searching of what that was going to be like. The second thing that I also believe in is called POAB, priesthood of all believers. Not that we're all Catholic priests, but that we're all called. Every one of us are called by God to engage in God's kingdom here on earth. Some of us are called in the pulpit. Some of us are called in other realms. Some of us are called to be parents. Some of us are called to be business people. But we're all called. And what we do in those walks of life, wherever we're called, is we provide for God's kingdom here on earth. So I believe in those 2 things. What am I supposed to do now, God? What am I supposed to do now? I always like kids, so I'll go work with kids for a while. It'll be a nice thing to do until I figure out what God really wants me to do, right? I'll go work with kids. Applied to Covenant Presbyterian Church because they had an opening on Indeed. I had forgotten that Janice had moved here. I've known Janice for 17-something years. She calls my wife and goes, "Is this your husband?" And yeah, is this really him? And so the next day I'm interviewing with Janice, and she wants to offer me a job. Before my wife said, "You can have the month of April, and just do whatever you want, and then get a." And she goes, "I need to start sooner." So I didn't even get my whole month of April. You still owe me a week. But anyways, and I've been here for 3 years, going on 4 years. And I thought, okay, well, God is calling me into this ministry of children. I'm here for these kids to be a male role model for these children, to help them grow and learn. And I started to realize that that wasn't all that God was calling me to. He was also calling me to be there for the parents. Now, I'm not the best parent in the world. My kids will tell you. I'm also not the best teacher in the world. My fellow teachers will tell you. But I do know what it's like to be alone. I do know what it's like to be lost. I do know what it's like to be overwhelmed. And I know what it's like to be raising a child and not knowing what the heck you're doing. And so my ministry became not just towards those children, but also towards the parents, to supporting them and becoming a friend for them and a listening ear. Because one of the hardest things you can do in life is to raise children. They don't like to be raised. They like to be spoiled. Well, that's not raising them. And so helping parents become better parents and helping children become better children is what I've been called to do. And then I realized, well, it's just not the parents. It's just not the children. I'm also there for my fellow teachers. And so some of the teachers are my age. Some of them are a little older. We won't speak names. But, and then some of them are the same age as my children. My children are 22 and 25. And so I'm there for that too. And then there's hospital visits still. And what I realized is that I was called out of the pulpit not to no longer be a pastor, but to be a pastor, a teacher, a confidant, a helper, a listening ear. And I'm still in ministry. And that is a pretty amazing thing to discover from a child care center.
Yeah.
I can tell you that he told you the truth. I had to call his wife first. I gotta say, when I saw his name come up, I'm like, seriously? But I'm also very happy to say he was the very first hire I made for the Child Development Center when I moved over, and it was the best decision ever.
Thank you. So as I was preparing for this, I went out on the website and was, reading more about our CDC and preschool. And one of the things that I saw that I think just opened up was an opportunity for some summer fun days here this summer. So given the timing, I think registration just started. I thought it might be nice to hear a little bit about what that is and what opportunity that provides for the families in our community.
Yes. So preschool is not open during the summer. We operate on a traditional school year. So we're September through May. But we know that parents want to still see us in the summer and they want a little bit of break from their children. So we offer 2 weeks of camp in June and 2 weeks of camp in July. It's the same preschool hours, 9 to 12:30. Typically, your child will have the same teacher, but sometimes classes get shifted around depending on enrollment. They do lots of fun summer themes, beachy themes, 4th of July, fireworks, Olympics. There's always a popsicle day. There's always a water play day on the playground. Our camps are open to everyone, current students, community, except for the youngest, because we found our 1-year-olds, so our current ones, rising 2s, we found they just don't really adjust well if it's a new space with new faces, and they end up crying the whole week. So we do limit that age category to currently enrolled students, but ages 2 and up, and we go all the way up to rising kindergarten, is open to anyone.
Yeah. I think we're going to switch gears a little bit and hear from Teresa and Janice a little bit more about the application process and the role of financial assistance in the CDC. When our congregation launched the capital campaign to construct the CDC, a big part of that was wanting to commit to scholarship assistance so that the CDC represented a broad range of socioeconomic families in our community. And that's been something that we've been very committed to since the theory, right, and the vision of the CDC. And Janice has been very involved in that process. And I thought it would be helpful for her to share kind of where we stand with that scholarship assistance and what that process is for families in the church.
I'll start, Janice, if you don't mind. I'm Teresa Moore, and I didn't realize until this morning that for 4 years, I have been doing helping in a committee of financial assistance. I started doing it about the same time Janice came on board. We have a pretty defined process that we go through with the financial assistance. Janice will start out doing the vetting with the parents. Is it a good fit? By the time it gets to me, Janice has seen what the child's needs are, what the family needs are. When it gets to me, they have to do an application, and we have offered in the past to help them do this application if they need it. Applications can be very daunting for a lot of people, so we have opened up several times in the Welcome Center to be open for parents, prospective parents, or returning parents. Every year you have to reapply for financial assistance. So we're there to help, but it starts out with the application with a lot of questions. How many people are in your family? We required how many adults are in the house. If they are in the house, they have to work full-time or go to school full-time. So then they have to prove to us that that is true, and they are required to give us a tax return and the last 3 pay stubs of their paychecks. And then I vet that, and that's really where they see if they're going to qualify or not. And if they do qualify, then it goes to Lee Cornwell, who has this massive spreadsheet that figures out with their income, with the cost of living, with the poverty level. There's a lot of things that come into play with that with Lee. And then we offer them a scholarship, and we have an official letter that we sign and they sign. So it's a contract. They know exactly how much they're going to get. The most that we award is 80%. So we try to keep it pretty fair for everybody with that. That's the process, and it's, like I said, daunting for some, but we try to be there for everyone and hold their hand through it. And we've had a lot of success with that.
I think Teresa, you said it all.
right.
I know there's a lot to say. We do have 25% of our total enrollment that is dedicated to financial assistance families. Right now we have 17 children. We just had one child that left us after 5 months that we were helping through Hurricane Helene at a full scholarship for them to get through that dramatic time of their life. And we have 4 applicants that we're working with right now that we're working through the process. And when an availability becomes available for them, then we will be able to slide them in. So it's one of the most, I'm not going to say fun because that is not the appropriate word. It's one of the most heart-wrenching things for me in my job. I love working with that. I love us being able to fulfill the needs of these families. And Teresa and Lee and I've been working together for 3 years. I wasn't sure what I was getting into when I took that part of the job, but it's been one of the most phenomenal parts. And to what this opportunity does for these families, it's an everyday heart uplifting experience. And sometimes that's the thing that ends up making your day. So Teresa, thank you. We work well together.
Thank you, Janice.
So let's hear a little bit. We heard about the kind of financial application process. I think it would be great to hear from some families as to why you chose the CDC or the preschool for your child and your family, and a little bit about that experience. And I think we're going to start with Abby.
I'm Abby, and I have a almost 2-year-old in the CDC. We found out we were pregnant and pretty much immediately emailed Bill Keith to get on the daunting daycare list. He directed me to, sign up and get on the list. As most of you know, getting on this list or on any daycare list is daunting, anxiety, all the things to get your child into daycare. And therefore, I only chose to put my child on one list to increase that anxiety some even more. That was a great move. I knew we would get in here. I just knew it. That starting on the list in the 40s is scary. The reason I chose Covenant is because I grew up here at Covenant. It's a great place to raise children. And I went through all the programs here: Quest, high school youth, basketball, all the summer activities that Covenant does for children. And I just knew that Covenant puts a lot of effort, strength, time into our kids. And I knew that that would relay into the CDC. And I wanted our children or child to be here. I think being at the CDC has opened up a lot of doors for us and opportunities. One being new friendships that we have built with other parents going through similar stages of no sleep or diapers or they're not eating, things like that. We can turn to other parents to talk through those difficulties. And that's been really amazing.
I don't think Abby told you guys that she showed up one day with her mother and this child in a stroller and stalked me. She really did. She could tell that part of the story.
Probably should have said that out loud.
This is where I want to be. I got to do it. I have 6 weeks. What are you going to do to make it happen, Miss Janet? And yeah, I wasn't doing anything there. We made it happen, and we're happy to have you with us. Shannon Shook is on parent council in the in the preschool, and Shannon's going to share her experiences in working with preschool.
Morning, I'm Shannon Shook. I have a 2-year-old in the preschool in Miss Julie's classroom. And we've just had such a wonderful experience with the preschool. We actually joined Covenant when I was pregnant with him, at the time thinking that we might want to get on the CDC wait list, and then based on circumstances realized we really did only need the part-time care. And it's just been such a perfect fit for us. We had been church shopping for a while, and when we came to Covenant, we really felt like this was our place. And we've just absolutely loved all of the children's programming, the children's ministry, and I've really enjoyed getting more involved in the preschool. It was a godsend for me when I was in the depths of postpartum and just needed a few hours to myself when I felt like I was losing my mind. And so it's been a real pleasure and honor to give back to the preschool by getting involved with the parent council. And so just real quick, I'll tell you about a few of the things that we do on parent council. We offer, it's made up of preschool parents, offers many opportunities to be involved throughout the year. We host a variety of events, starting with a kickoff at the beginning of the year, Pizza with Pals. It's a great fellowship dinner and just a great way to meet other parents, other kids, and get to know classmates. We host a book fair in the fall where a portion of the sales benefit the preschool. We've got fall photos where we have a fabulous photographer that comes and takes pictures of each child. We do, as it was mentioned, we host the art gallery in the spring, which is a wonderful event where every child's artwork is displayed in this room. And toward the end of the year, we host a family fun day, which is kind of like a carnival out in the parking lot, popsicles, games, fun, and snacks for all the kids. We love to include all families. That can include grandparents, caregivers, anyone who wants to volunteer is welcome, whether it be for a one-time event or an ongoing committee throughout the year. And yeah, that's about it.
So Covenant's vision statement is that we are a dynamic Christian community that gladly invites all people into a transformational experience of faith, boldly proclaims the gospel, bravely works towards a whole and just world, and passionately nurtures discipleship. And so we thought we'd spend a few minutes hearing some stories of in what ways do you see the ministries of the CDC and the preschool fulfilling that vision and leaning into that vision for our church community.
We have a couple of folks from both schools that are going to talk about that with us. Julie Bork is a parent with 2 children in the Child Development Center, and they've been with us a little over a year, and appreciate all the support that you've given us. So Julie's going to talk with us first.
Hey, Julie Bork. When thinking about the mission and kind of our personal story too, I'll come up here. We do have 2 children at the Child Development Center, and we actually had been at another daycare in the community, more of kind of a corporate nationwide chain, which we loved and had a wonderful experience with. And when we were expecting our second, we kind of regenerated our wait list just to keep our doors open. With 2 children in daycare, the cost obviously double, and childcare is not cheap, which is wonderful. We do the financial assistance for families that need it. So, talking about kind of the ministry and just God opening doors, I got an email from Janice that a spot had opened for both our 2-year-old and a newborn, which getting a newborn in daycare alone is a big feat, let alone both of them opening at the same time exactly when we needed them. So it just seemed like some divine intervention that, opened the doors for our family to come here. Again, like we have found home at Covenant of just like not finding the right church for us, for our family. And in joining the CDC, not only just building relationships with friendly faces or just making connections with people that we've had exposure with outside of the CDC, it just has been kind of a full circle. Seems like we were led here for a reason. Thinking about the mission, and I think what really sticks out to me about the mission is just the nurturing discipleship and how, throughout the day-to-day and the typical day of our children, I think what sticks out to me is just the curiosity that being at the CDC, being on this campus has sparked in our kids, especially our 4-year-old, of, saying a blessing at the table, or like, everyone, let's fold our hands. Even our almost 2-year-old, will like start folding his hand, or just the relationships he's made with the teachers. I mean, Mr. Kevin, no one lights up more than our kids when they walk in and see Mr. Kevin. Or Mr. Steve. I can throw out Mr. Steve's name and our daughter immediately, she will listen if I say that I'm going to tell Mr. Steve that you're not listening. So it has just created a community for our family, and has really sparked this discipleship in our children that, frankly, I don't know that I feel qualified to, I'm trying my best, but I'm doing the best I can. And I think just being here on this beautiful campus, having that kind of ingrained in their day-to-day of saying blessing at the table, or curiosity of what is that picture on the wall? Or, where does Jesus live? I think that was the hardest thing of coming, into the sanctuary on Easter, and our daughter is where is Jesus? There's just a lot of conversations that, again, I lean into Mr. Steve for the hard conversations of can you help me out here? How do I explain this? How do I go here? So it has been, I think the mission of, the children's ministry and just the church just plays into kind of all of the inner workings of the day-to-day of the kids as well.
Frances Yarborough is a church member and hard worker in a lot of different ministries, but my most favorite for her, obviously, is children's ministry. So she's going to share her thoughts also.
Yeah, so my husband and I joined Covenant when we moved to Charlotte in 2019. And we now have 2 little girls that are part of the CDC. Francie is 3 and Ellie is 18 months. And I would just say that the nurturing part of the mission just speaks to it in so many ways. And the teachers and the staff, it really feels like a big family. You walk in the halls every morning. Miss Loretta asked how everybody's night was, how everyone's doing. And the teachers just care so much about your children. And it's so fun to hear about, we did artwork today. We had Mr. Kevin today. We hear just, there's so much joy, and the teachers really pour into our children. And I have two stories that really stick out to me, just how much the teachers really care for you and your families. Our youngest, Ellie, was in the hospital about a week after she was born, and Francie was still coming to school every day. And Miss Kiki every day would just say, "I'm praying for you," and how's Ellie doing? And that just really means so much to us. Excuse me. And then also our youngest, Ellie, just started walking. She's taken her very sweet time to get there, but we are so excited that she is walking. And her teacher, Miss Pat, last week just said, God answered our prayers when Ellie started walking. So we know, not only are they teaching them and caring for them, they're praying for them. And that just means so much as a family.
Of all the children moving up, I think you were the most excited parent. I think all I had to do is push send on that email, and I think 5 seconds later, plus it saves you on tuition. I mean, we've already given you that cut, okay? For half a month. Our representative from preschool is Allison Huffman, and Allison serves on a couple of committees. The most important committee that she serves on in preschool is the preschool committee, which is made up of nothing but church members, and they have a lot of influence in what happens in the school. So Allison, I'm going to give that to you.
Hey, everybody. Yes, I am one of the co-chairs for the preschool committee. And a couple things that we do that I think, help fulfill Covenant's mission, again, have to do with financial aid, which we've talked about for the CDC, but we also offer scholarships for the preschool. So that's something that we really enjoy, being able to offer that to families that need it. And another thing we do is inviting families from the preschool that aren't necessarily members to all the church events that make sense for them, like the Easter service, the kids' Christmas service, the family service on Sunday. So it's always fun to see, kids and friends from the preschool at those events. I just think that's something Covenant does so well, is making church accessible to families, and any worries that you might have about bringing your child to church. We address those really well. So it's always fun seeing preschool friends at our church programs. And another thing we do is service projects, which I love that we're able to do that and model that for kids at such a young age. So we help with the Advent service projects that the church does, like the Highland Renaissance Academy Giving Tree. We do that. This year, I think it was new, or at least new for the preschool helping. The mezzanine does like a little gift shop for kids to be able to shop for their parents. So we provided gifts for that. We're doing Room at the Inn actually this week. And also I think the older kids do the Operation Sandwich. And they did that recently. So it's just nice to be able to model that for our kids and show them, get them involved in serving at such a young age.
Thank you. In terms of invitations to services, we are gonna, I think, talk about one or two more things. And then this space, if you haven't had an opportunity to experience it, transforms into our family-friendly worship service at 11. So we'll spend a few more minutes here together, and then we're gonna need to disband, but we would invite you, if you haven't experienced that today or some Sunday, to realize that we have a very vibrant and active and small child friendly worship service in this space every Sunday at 11. But we've heard so many beautiful stories of the intersection of the various ministries of our church, and we thank you all for sharing. And in closing, we want to just ask, how can we help? How can the congregation, those of us that may not have children, what are some ways that we can help support the preschool and the CDC in the days and months and years ahead?
I'll start with a little bit of that. I think this is a working list, and we're coming up with ideas as the year goes on. I serve on the Parents Council with a couple other mamas in the daycare, or excuse me, the CDC. And in that space, we do fundraisers throughout the year, at least something monthly to collect money. Our big fundraiser this year was Art by Me, where each classroom did a beautiful piece of artwork. It gets sent off, and then parents get to pick different things that they would like to bring into the house: a Christmas ornament, a magnet. There's a whole list of things, and we raise quite a bit of money with that. We do pizza nights and nights out at restaurants to raise money. And that all goes back to the teachers to celebrate them and all of their hard work that they do for us. We like to celebrate them throughout holidays. One of the moms, Susie Vincent, put on a popcorn bar for Valentine's Day, which was really fun and special. And we were thinking about ways that the members could help with us, help that. And we were thinking about maybe getting the word out to have members come to our pizza nights to raise some money, talk to them about our book fairs that we have, that all that money comes back to the Parents Council.
And I can ditto that for the preschool, they do a lot of these same things, and there's a lot of fundraising and parent support with that, so that we can keep all those good things going for staff. One last thing that I would ask of you guys, if there's something that you could do for us like now. During the season of Lent, I think I had said to you guys that we have 40 staff in both of the schools. And if you're willing to help us out for these next couple of weeks, I have the name of every staff member in this basket. And if you choose to take a name, if you would pray for that staff member during the rest of the season of Lent. And if you would like to have an opportunity to meet that staff member after Easter, I'm absolutely happy to have you find me, and I can have you get in touch with them. If you're willing to do that, I'm going to have that basket passed around, and there's lots of different symbols that those names are on. I tried to do something really catchy, so you could put a magnet on your refrigerator, put it on your desk at work, have it somewhere that you're going to be able to see it pretty quickly throughout the day. You might get a footprint. You might have a name on a rainbow. You might have a name on a caterpillar. We know what happens with that this time of year. Or you might have a name of the butterfly, that what happens after that caterpillar. Or you might have a name that's on a textbook. So if you're willing to do that, I'm going to have Miss Loretta pass this around. And if there are names that are left, then we're going to share that with the families in the two schools this week. Thank you for having us. We appreciate this opportunity, Janet. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's give everybody that shared with us a round of applause. And again, go in peace. Have a wonderful week, and thank you for being here today.